So, in Behind the Tracks today, we're going to take a look at the smartest pop rock band of all time and one of their smartest songs. If you've been a writer, an author, a poet, whatever, this song really speaks to you because in less than 130 seconds, it describes the battle that you have as a paperback writer. Now, from the single by the Beatles, Back with the Rain, released on May 30th, 66. Released only 6 weeks. I was recorded after a 2-night session. Now, recorded in EMI London. The mono version is a little bit longer, but Lennon McCartney and George Martin, the producer, really put together a great version here. Now, primarily by Paul McCartney and credit to the Lennon-McCartney partnership, the song was released as the A-side, their 11th single in May 66. It topped single charts in numerous countries, including their home UK, the States, Ireland, West Germany, Australia, New Zealand, and Norway. On the US Billboard Hot 100, the song was at number 1 for 2 non-consecutive weeks, being interrupted by Frank Sinatra's Strangers in the Night. Paperback Writer was the last song by the Beatles to be featured on their final tour in 66, and debuted globally on a 66 compilation of an album, a collection of Beatles oldies, except in the United States and Canada, where he debuted in a 1970 collection, Hey Jude. If you can find it on cassette, it's a rare find for your collection. Now, largely written by McCartney, who based the lyrics on a challenge made to him by his Aunt Lil. McCartney said in 66 years ago, my Auntie Lil said to me, why do you always write songs about love all the time? Can't you ever write about a horse or the Summit Conference or something interesting? So I thought, all right, Auntie Lil. According to Radio Luxembourg DJ Jimmy Savile's recollection, the inspiration for the song came backstage at a concert venue when McCarthy, mindful of his aunt's requests, saw Ringo Starr reading a book and declared his intention to write a song about a book. The lyrics are a form of a letter from an aspiring author addressed to a publisher. McCartney completed the song with Lennon in response to pressure from EMI for a new Beatles product in April 66. Now, early on in the sessions, it was going to be for the band's Revolver album. Intrigued by the rhythmic possibilities of the phrase paperback writer, McCartney came up with the framework for the song during his hour-long drive from London to Lennon's house in Surrey. Now, discussing paperback writer with Alan Smith of NME that year, McCartney recalled that he and Lennon wrote the lyrics in a former letter beginning with Dear Sir Madam, but the song was inspired by any real-life characters. Was not inspired. However, according to his 2007 piece in New Yorker, McCartney said he started writing a song in 65 after reading in the Daily Mail about an aspiring author, possibly Martin Amis, who would have been a teenager at the time. The Daily Mail was Lennon's regular newspaper, and copies were in Lennon's Weybridge home when Lennon and McCartney were writing songs. Aside from deviating from the subject of love, which is part of 90% of her songs previous to this one, McCartney had in mind to write a song with a melody backed by a single static chord. John and I would like to do songs with just one note like Long Tall Sally. We got near it in the word, which is another literary reference. McCartney claimed to have barely failed to achieve his goal with Paperback Writer, as the verse remains on G until the end, at which point it pauses on C. Now, Lennon told Hit Parader in 72 that Paperback Writer was primarily written by Paul. I think it might have helped with some of the lyrics, yes I did, but it's mainly Paul's tune. Speaking in 1984, he passed. Lennon described Paperback Writer as the son of Day Tripper, meaning a rock and roll song with a car lick and a fuzzy loud guitar, but it is Paul's song. Now, he recorded Paperback Writer on EMI in London on the 13 and 14 April 66. The April 14 session was attended by a photographer in Beatles Monthly, while EMI engineer Phil McDonald's handwritten notes similarly documented the band's experimentation with overdubs on the basic track. In a search for a suitable arrangement, George Harrison briefly switched to bass guitar, and producer George Martin contributed on tack piano, sent through a Leslie speaker, and an Vox Continental organ, none of which were retained in the completed track. Now, Paperback Writer, of course, is marked by the boosted bass guitar sound, which is partly in response to Lennon demanding to know why the bass on a certain Wilson Pickett record exceeded that on the Beatles records. Now, according to McCartney, the harmony vocals on the track were arranged during the recording session. Martin later commented the way the song itself is shaped and the slow contrapuntal statements from the backing vocals, no one had really done that before. In their backing vocals over the third verse, Lennon and Harrison sing the title of the French nursery rhyme, Frère Jacques. Emmerich stated that Paperback Writer Rain single was cut louder than any other Beatles record up to that time due to a new piece of equipment used in the mastering process, referred to as an automatic transient overload control, which was devised by the EMI maintenance department. Now, the song itself, the video of this and Rain were filmed around the same time, and I think it's a tremendous look at how they were taking lyrics and music and putting visuals to it, and Hard Day's Night and Help around that era. Now, in Britain, the single was promoted with a photograph depicting the Beatles draped with pieces of raw meat and decapitated baby dolls. This photograph was later used, albeit briefly, as a Yesterday and Today album cover in the US, and in that capacity became known as the Butcher cover. For the American release of the single, the picture sleeve showed the Beatles playing live, while Lennon and Harrison image reflected, so it appeared they were playing left-handed. Now, when Michael Lindsay Hogg directed 4 promo films for the song, shot on 19 and 20 May 66. The first day, he recorded a color performance at EMI for the Ed Sullivan Show, which was shown on June 5th, and 2 black and white performance clips for British television. The later aired on Ready, Steady, Go and Thank Your Lucky Stars on the 3rd and 25th of June, respectively. The Beatles also filmed their personal introduction to Ed Sullivan, with their faces hidden behind colored transparencies of the Butcher cover. On 20th of May, a second color film was made at Chiswick House in West London. The Beatles mimed to the song, and they were shown in a statue garden inside a conservatory in the grounds of the house. The clip was first broadcast in black and white on BBC's Top of the Pops on June 2nd. The May 20 promo clip was included in the Beatles' 2015 video compilation, 1, and both the 19th of May color film and the 20th of May film were included in the 3-disc version of the compilation, titled 1+. Now, the Beatles appeared on Top of the Pops to mime to Paperback Writer and Rain on June 16th. This TV appearance, which was the Beatles' only in-person appearance on BBC's flagship pop music show of the era, was subsequently lost due to the BBC's habit of wiping expensive videotape for reuse, leading to efforts by the corporation to find an original copy. In 2009, the collector unearthed 11 seconds of performance. A longer 92 seconds worth was found later in the year. Now, Paperback Writer was issued as a single in the U.S. by Capitol, with a catalog number 5651 and Rain as a B-side. The UK release occurred on June 10th, and it was the Beatles' first UK single since Day Tripper and We Can Work It Out, double A-side in December 65. Under the brief performance at the NME Poll Winners Concerts on May 1st, promotion for the new record was also first sign of public activity by the band for the start of the year. Reviewing the single for NME, Derry Johnson said that Paperback Writer swings along at a thundering pace. Now, some reviewers didn't like it. According to Peter Dockett, the author, it was one of disappointment and dismissal as a brash, insubstantial throwaway. Writing to the Beatles an illustrated record, NME critics Roy Carr and Tony Tyler described Paperback Writer as the first Beatles single to receive less than universal acclaim. I think it's one of their best songs, but I'm a journalist. I'm not, The UK press also turned against the song a little bit because they were offended by the ads for the single, which included a second Butcher photo appeared in full color on the cover of Disc and Music Echo, accompanied by the caption, Beatles, what a carve-up. Now, such was the Beatles' status. They were scrutinized in the press when, like Day Tripper, We Can Work It Out, the single failed to top all UK sales charts straight away. Now, the record retailer, it entered number 2 behind Strangers in the Night before taking the top position. Now, in the US, it was more well received, where it was on the Billboard Hot 100 for 2 non-consecutive weeks, replacing Painted Black, taken over by Strangers in the Night, and went back in. It was certified as gold by the Record Industry Association in America on July 14th. Now, the song release coincided with London being faded by the U.S. media as a swinging city of international culture. In his book in the 1960s, social historian Arthur Marwick says the Beatles represented a popular image of phenomena which, in visual swaths of British society, became visible and assertive. Now, there's been numerous versions of Paperback Writer. There was a stereo mix of it carried out in October 66, then an alternate stereo mix on Hey Jude. Now, following the Beatles' breakup, the song appeared on compilations including 62-66, Past Masters Volume 2, and 1. Now, in 1995, a mix featuring only vocals was among several tracks that were running an inclusion of the 3 Beatles anthology compilation albums, but are ultimately passed over. And it was re-released as a single as part of Record Store Day in 2010. It was also included on the Beatles' 2012 iTunes compilation Tomorrow Never Knows, which the band's website describes collections of the Beatles' most influential rock songs. Now, covers for Paperback Writer, including the Bee Gees, the Charles River Valley Boys, the Cowsills, Floyd Kramer, Eric Johnson, Chris Christopherson, Kenny Rogers, The Shadows, Sweet, Daddy, Tempest, and then 10cc. Now, McCartney, of course, has played it many times in person. Now, there is some dispute over who played what on Paperback Writer. In the July 1990 and November 2005 issues of Guitar Player magazine, McCartney stated he played the song's opening riff on his casino guitar, and photos from the recording session seemed inconsistent with this. In the 2005 edition of the book Revolution Ahead, E. McDonald gives Harrison as the sole lead guitarist. Now, but Kenneth Womack similarly lists McCartney only at bass and lead vocal. Robert Rodriguez and Walter Everett each credit McCartney as the player of the song's main guitar riff, and state that Harrison added lead guitar fills over his initial rhythm part. And of course, McCartney, Lennon, Harrison, and Starr. Now, weekly charts: Australia number 1, Austria number 4, Belgium number 7, Canada number 1, Denmark 15, Ireland 1, Italy 6, Netherlands 1, Finland 4, Norway 1, South Africa 6, Sweden number 1, Sweden second chart number 4, UK singles number 1, Billboard Hot 100 number 1, US Cashbox Top 100 number 1, and West German Media Control singles chart number 1. Year-end Billboard 66, 28 on that chart, and 42 in Cashbox in the States, and have certified 1 million copies in US. So the Paperback Writer, again, it is basically the closest thing you're going to get to the Beatles to making a positive, sarcastic song. And I love Paperback Writer because when it came to journalists, because that applies to a lot of people who are paperback writers. But paperback writers can be fiction or nonfiction. And like I said, you're only good as your publisher. If your publisher doesn't like it, he's not going to sell it. And I'm dedicating this song to all the members of my New Brunswick Independent Authors Association in New Brunswick, Canada. All of them are paperback writers in certain ways, fiction and nonfiction. But in the words of Bev Vincent, it's good that you have Stephen King as a co-writer. That draws a lot of attention. It's true the fact that Stephen King's right-hand literary guy is a Canadian. What a surprise. Because Bangor is only, 2 hours away from the Canadian border. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you're doing here with our Behind the Tracks podcast, let us know what a like, comment, subscribe, or share. Bye.